HM Productions presents White Devil Podcast.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the White Devil Podcast, podcast number 33. And if there are some of you keeping count and confused about that, I'll just remind everybody that the White Devil minicasts also count as full podcasts. So this is why we are. So we missed, podcast 30. We didn't do anything special for it, but hey, it's all right. Anyway, welcome back to the podcast, a proper podcast this time around, and we have an interesting lineup. First of all, joining me once again is my co-host. He does Let's Plays and reviews and all that good stuff. Please welcome Retro Kaiser.
Hey, I haven't had my morning coffin yet. Morning coffin. What am I, a vampire? Ugh.
Blah.
I haven't had
morning coffee yet.
Yeah, I have.
No,
I've been coughing the whole morning. Okay, and you already heard him. Our guest for today, from Light Studios on YouTube, where he does Power Rangers style videos. Videos about Power Rangers or the Japanese equivalent. He's an old friend of the podcast. He's done a bunch of stuff. Please welcome back after a long while, Cendoo.
Good day, children. It is very much a pleasure to be here today.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm still alive, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm also known as Red Diamond now at Kaiser. What are you?
Woo, Black Diamond. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, that's something we started. There's your sneak peek. Back to Hannu.
All right, and yeah, so this is nice. We haven't had Cendoo on for a really long time, although we did say some really nice things about you back in, was it the Disney podcast or the minicast? Kaiser, do you remember?
I thought the last time he was on was one of the anime podcasts.
I don't know.
No,
he said
that would have been like 4 years ago. The anime cast was one of the first ones we ever did.
2 of them.
Yeah.
Back in the old group.
I was referring to when you and I, Kaiser, did the mini cast on Disney. I think we talked about like Cendoo and his contributions to my channel, the TheHande channel, because this guy is responsible for making the channel what it is. So you can thank or blame him, whichever way you go. I was saying very nice things about you in a recent mini cast. That's what I was getting at.
Getting some mixed messages from that, I'll be honest.
All right. Yeah, but it's nice having you on here, and also like you, as you mentioned, or I mentioned, whichever it is. Sorry, we're recording this at a weird hour for me. You've recently made a comeback to YouTube. Do you want to talk about that, Cendoo?
No.
No, then I'll talk about it if you won't.
Okay, fine. Basically, just life's getting in order again, and I re-picked up some motivation. So yeah, trying to get back into it. I started reviewing episodes of the newest Sentai. I think Hannu and one other person watched it.
Yeah, I watched it definitely. Yeah, Sentai, which is the original Japanese Power Rangers, or whatever the current iteration happens to be.
Lupin Rangers versus Pato Rangers.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically cops and robbers.
Yeah, and I've been watching those, and I've been really enjoying those. So so it was nice. It was really nice, like to finally see you back doing that. And I don't want to say like I stole your style. But I do have a video that's the way you're doing them, of course, is if people haven't, and I should probably when this goes on YouTube, I should probably link it in the top right corner to one of your reviews. Is that you still images from the episodes, and while you're talking about the episodes, and I actually have a video that's coming out in the near future that's going to employ a similar style.
I was actually basing mine off Mr. Weenie Productions' Power Ranger episode reviews.
Nice, yeah. I haven't talked to Mr. Weenie in a while as well, but we had him on the podcast at, what was it, episode 20-ish, I think.
He's kind of famous now. It's hard to talk to him. That guy broke like 61,000 subs, you know?
Yeah. Incidentally, I just broke 2,000 subs on my channel just recently.
I might see Mr. Winnie in August when I go to Power Morphicon in California.
Yeah, welcome back, Cendoo, and this is kind of fun. This is kind of fun. It's like a little bit of the old It's Tail Time bunch back, because we were all founding members, weren't we?
Yeah, until you went rogue on us.
Well, I was still a founding member. I just left. That's.
Yeah.
But hey,
He left to form his own country.
for my own country. Oh
Yep,
boy.
it's horn time, right?
Horn time. Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, this. Jesus.
I'm going to make a dirty joke out of that. The rival website, it's Horn Time, where their slogan is, it's time to get some tail.
Oh god, that's. That's
Rival
bad. That's
nothing.
bad.
Its tail time is gone now.
Yeah, I've heard that, but sorry, I'm trying to get to something. You guys keep interrupting me. Is that just recently? Well, not recently. It was actually in the fall, but I finally got around to showing Min 2 of the Hannibal Lecter movies. Or actually, I think we watched 3 of them. The Manhunter, Silence of the Lamb, and Hannibal. And in Hannibal, there's one of those like scenes at the opera with the guys with the really creepy kind of white costumes. And actually, one of them is a devil, and he's completely white. And we immediately thought, like, hey, I gotta use that picture on one of my White Devil things, and I have yet to have used it once. And I don't even have the picture right now, so I could show you guys, but I definitely should have done that. But yeah, all right. And Kaiser, of course, what was the last thing that we did together? Yeah, you've been putting out a few of our videos that we recorded in the fall. Sonic Forces.
Back when that game was only a day new, too.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, I wanted to ask, Kaiser, what are you working on right now?
Well, I'm working on trying to form my own television show. Well, not really TV show, more like a television-styled show. To where the current trend these days is to make, like, reviews like 15 minutes long. Well, you know me, I've never known to do anything that... I've never known to go with the cool kids. So I'm going against the grain purposely, and I'm going back to my childhood and making shows that are a bit more basic, a bit more simple, more based on video game related shows that I grew up on, such as X-Play, Game Pro TV, and, well, I didn't grow up with this. Well, I sort of grew up with this one, but this show came when I was like 4, so I really don't remember it. It's called The Zone, which I caught up on.
AutoZone?
AutoZone. Hazon. No, The Zone is just, I got to link you to, guys. This is just pretty much, well, pretty much, it is.
Is that the one you sent me?
Probably. I've sent you a lot of weird Australian shit, Hannu.
Yeah, but I think you showed me. There was that Australian show about video games where they had the guy in a little box talking about the game, and then another box that showed the game footage.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I saw that. Like, my comment was about that was like, this is... I think what you wrote to me was that this gives you an idea of what my new Kaiser thing, I already forgot what you're calling it, but my new Kaiser thing is going to look like. And my comment back to you was, you're going to include a lot of creepy CG? Because I remember there were some kind of creepy CG animations like in between the segments.
Oh, those were from the Australian Sega ads.
Really? Okay.
Have you seen some of our Australian TV ads, like especially video game ones? They use some creepy CG, man. Like what was it? This one of the Sega ones got like this weird 3D naked woman going, like doing like robo voice. Sega something. I forgot what the slogan was.
Sega something. That would be great.
That's my title for most things.
Oh, hey, and before we get to the topic of the day, we do have a topic, sort of. We'll get to it, but Cendoo was also trying to get me to watch some Japanese Saturn commercials. Little did he know that, of course, I've watched them, but but it actually
Sega Tosanshiro.
A what?
Sega Tosanshiro.
Oh yeah. But You actually just reminded me that there used to be like the weirdest. We had the weirdest like commercial for the Mega Drive back when I was a kid. So maybe when we have a break, I'll like look it up. I know it's on YouTube. I'll try to look for it at some point. But anyway, so we do have a bit of a topic. But before we go to that, Kaiser has prepared a little game for us to play. Haven't you?
A little game. A little game. It's more than a little game. It's a tiny game. Why? Because it's pretty much unfinished because I got bored writing the questions halfway through.
Oh, great.
Sounds about right.
Oh, boy.
Just like Retro Kaiser the game.
Oh! that hurt.
Ooh, low blow.
Yeah, you're one to talk.
All right, but what's the idea? Right. Can you give us the general gist, Kaiser?
Well, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of questions and you're going to have to answer them. But twist is that all these questions are based on games or merchandise from my personal collection.
Yes.
All right, and okay, how many questions do you have, and is there enough for both of us?
I got 6, and I mark them as like question 1A, question 1B, So one of you gets to pick A or B, then of course the other person gets the leftover card.
All right, and this is multiple choice?
Yes, I had to make a multiple choice because there's stuff about my collection that I pretty much never speak about on the air, so it's pretty much a potluck guess.
Okay, cool. I like this.
That's the fun of it.
Yeah, I like this.
Although now I do regret, originally this was going to be like 20 questions long, but yeah, I couldn't find that many.
Okay, I have an idea. And you're free to ignore the suggestion if you want, but could we do it like if it's multiple choice? Like how many choices per question?
4. 4, not 7.
4. Okay, so if the one person who the question is addressed to gets it wrong, can the other person try to then guess and get like half a point if they get it right?
I was hoping you would say that. Yes, this segment needs all the stretching out it can get. So yes.
Okay, nice. So do you have those questions ready, or can we begin right away?
Yes.
All right, nice.
Okay, let me just put on my mail. Hello, ladies and that's a terrible game show voice.
D porn.
And also, I want to apologize right now if I'm sniffing a lot, like because it's allergy season, and that's that's why I'm doing that. Yeah, sorry about that. I think but if you watch some of my most recent Let's Play videos, you will have gotten used to this as well. Okay, Kaiser, are you ready to start?
Right indeed, Hannu boy. We are going to play the game where all these questions are based on items in my collection. Okay, Hannu first, because apparently Hannu is correct in alphabetical order.
All right, yeah,
so,
sure.
So, good Hannu. Question A or question B? Granted, the leftover question will go over to the next player. And keep in mind, one question could be harder than the other.
I'll take question A.
Hey, good old Funze.
Yeah.
Ooh, you're gonna like this question. This is Sega Saturn related.
Aw.
All right.
And it's Street Fighter.
Don't worry, Cendoo. You'll get to do it once I get it wrong.
Okay.
Not if once.
Question.
Yeah.
Okay. Question A. What year does not appear on the back of the Japanese edition of the Street Fighter collection for the Sega Saturn? A. 1991. B. 1992. C. 1993. Or D. 1994.
Huh. Okay. Interesting choices. What was the first one? Can you give me the first one again?
The question or the
first choice. What was the first choice?
1991.
I'll go with that.
That's the year I was born.
And all I can say to you, Hannu, is
so that's wrong. Okay, so Cendoo gets. What? Nice. You got a sound effect. Okay.
Here's your chance to steal the question, Cendoo. So what year do you think it is? 1992, 1993, or 1994?
Well, considering the Saturn didn't come out till 96, I'm gonna say 94.
Wrong.
Is it 93 then?
No, it's not 1993. It's 1992.
Huh, okay. So
Oh.
92 was the only year when they didn't have like an edition of Street Fighter 2 come out then.
According to this question, yes. 1992 does not appear on the back of the box.
Also,
1991,
also,
1993, and 94 does.
And also, shame on you, Kaiser. You should know that Saturn came out in 94 in Japan.
I do know that, but that's not the question.
Did I say
The trick
Kaiser?
is-
Sorry, I meant Cendoo.
Well, we're the
Oh,
same
sorry.
person anyway.
So, Cendoo, you get the second question. The one that Hannu did not pick. And you're going to like this one. This is Sega Saturn related. And also Street Fighter related.
Sorry, too preemptive, I know.
As this question is, what year does not appear on the back of the Japanese edition of the Street Fighter collection for the Sega Saturn? A. 1994, B. 1995, C. 1996, or D. 1997? Yes, a lot of years appear on the back of the box.
That's obscure as heck.
Yes, these whole questions are obscure. They're all about my collection. It's all about the fun of the guests.
Let's see. In 94, Hannu was 13, so...
Don't tell
Yeah,
lies on this podcast.
19, I'm going to say 95 when Hannu turned 20.
Correct.
Whoa, what did he say? What did he say?
He said 1995, and 1995 indeed does not appear on the back
Yep,
of
the
the
year Hannu
Japanese
turned
edition
20.
of the
Okay,
Street Fighter
so-
collection.
Okay, did Super then appear in 94? That's interesting. Okay.
So 1991, 1993, 94, 1996, and 1997 do appear on the back. And if you want video proof, I can provide it for you.
No, we're okay. We'll take your word for it.
Okay.
Hannu, do you remember 95?
I can never forget 95.
Yeah, the year you turned 20.
The year,
Sorry.
no, wait, that's not the year Donkey Kong Country came out. That was already Donkey Kong Country 2, actually. So that was the... No, but we did get... Yeah, we got the Super Nintendo in Christmas of 94. So 95 was the year when we really played Super Nintendo.
Okay.
I called
So
you
the
40.
score... So the scores are Hannu with a big whopping goose egg, and Cendoo with a big whopping number 1.
Nice. All right.
Oh,
I'm
so he gets a
losing.
nice omelet and I've got... Oh, wait, so he gets a nice omelet and I got urine? Great.
Okay.
So, Hannu,
Lemonade.
Do I get the choice again? Shouldn't
Yes.
we, like, alternate?
fine, Cendoo. You get the choice of question 2A or question 2B. Or not
Or
2B.
not 2B.
That is your choice.
I choose A2.
You mean 2A?
All
Um,
right.
Tomato to monkey.
You're going to like this question. It's a Sega Saturn related question and about Street Fighter. I'm joking, this one. This one's this one's not. This one's actually Nintendo related.
Ooh, nice.
Ah,
And this
He
is
knows that. Yeah, he knows I don't know squat about Nintendo.
Okay. How many copies of FMW Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling do I have for the Super Famicom / Super Nintendo? A1, B2, C0, or D? There's no such thing as that game.
Last time I rubbished through your collection, I didn't see any, so I'm gonna say 0.
Ta-da! Wrong answer.
All right. So the choices are 1, 2, or those are series, and I think that last one's supposed to be a joke. So I'm gonna say, damn it, you're the kind of guy who finds rare shit at pawn shops for some reason. So, but I'm going to say that you only have one.
Wrong. I have
shit.
2.
Ah.
1 box copy and 1 loose cart. Originally, the answer was going to be 1 until the night I wrote this question, my dad came and said, "Look what I got today," and he gave me a second copy.
You're lucky.
I knew
dog.
you would. Obviously, he wouldn't put the question on there if he had 1 copy of a game. So it was either none or more than 1.
All right, but it's time for my question, isn't it?
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
All right.
Our future
You know-
Pink Ranger.
You're going to like this question. It's Sega Saturn related. No.
Oh, god damn it.
Actually, this one is different. This one isn't really about gaming, but more about gaming merchandise. That's right, it's a merchandise question, and a Minecraft one as well.
Okay, merch. Great.
Okay, here we go. How pickles? Well, you're close because it's about something that's green. How many legs does Kaiser's creeper toy from Minecraft have? A 4, B 3, C 0, or D 69?
Okay, this isn't fair because I don't play Minecraft, but I've seen those creeper toys, so it's one of the first two. Unless you've broken them off. Holy hell. You would be the kind of guy who'd pull the legs off a creeper, you sick bastard. Oh, jeez. Now that... I seriously thought that was a joke answer until I just started realizing that, oh boy.
I like the way you think.
Oh no. I'm going to guess that this toy originally, just like the creatures in the game, had 4 legs originally, but then you pulled one off, so I'm going to say 3.
Correct!
Yes! My deductive reasoning paid out.
See, that's what I like about this game.
I thought for a minute he didn't pull one off, but just wanted to trick you into thinking he did.
So was I right? Was I right?
Yes, you're correct. Well,
okay.
it actually fell off because I played with it too much, but its 3 other legs are still intact.
Oh boy.
How do you play with it? Do you hold it by a leg and swing it? What?
I was chasing it around with my siblings.
Ah, okay.
But
I'm familiar with legs falling off toys. That always sucked when that happened.
It's even worse when they fall off pets.
The thing I like about this questionnaire is it's if you think about the questions, it's not the way to get the question isn't really to think about the collection. It's more about the collector and what their taste is. So that is the end of round 2.
All right.
Now Hannu is tied with Cendoo at big number 1.
Good to know.
Now we're on the final question. The last questions that I bothered actually writing down before I lost all hope in this game.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and then I get to ask the questions.
So I feel so goofy because I'm actually holding an invisible microphone right now, actually doing the end. But anyway, Hannu.
Yes.
A or B for this final round?
I took A last time, so I'll go with B now.
Ooh, B.
Not the B's. Okay. Yeah, sorry.
You're gonna like this question. It's anime related.
Anime? Okay, nice.
Here we go. Which of these shows does Kaiser not have the first season of in his Blu-ray collection? A. Sailor Moon. B. Digimon. C. Pokemon. Or D. He has all of them, dummy. Those are his favorite shows, for crying out loud.
You know what? Once again, my first impression is that the last option is supposed to be a joke. But the more I think about it, the more I'm beginning to dread that it's not a joke. Okay, I'm again trying to employ a little bit of deductive reasoning because I'm wondering, is Pokemon still popular enough that they actually bothered releasing the first season on Blu-ray? I know it's on Netflix, but that's a tough one. Sailor Moon, I could definitely see that. I could definitely see you having that on Blu-ray. Hey, hell, I would imagine you having it on Betamax. Wait, that wasn't a thing anymore by the time Sailor Moon was out. What's another good obscure one? I could imagine you having that on Laserdisc.
I sort of do.
Oh, really? Excuse me. Sorry for the cough. Okay, Digimon. Digimon's a dark horse for me because I don't know Digimon so well. I know it's popular in certain circles. Is it big enough that they actually release it on Blu-ray, though? But would you have written it in the question if it wasn't on Blu-ray? That's another thing. Because I know you're not that bright. Sorry. Sorry, it's cheap shot. Okay, I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna guess Pokemon.
Well, I do have it on Blu-ray, but that's not the correct answer. The correct answer is he
No,
has
no, no,
all
no.
of them, dummy.
No, you forgot the rules. You were supposed to ask Cendoo next.
Oops, sorry. I've...
Yeah, I'll take the
Well.
freebie. He does have them all, dummy.
We'll give him like half a point for that.
Fine.
Okay, I
Well,
don't
let's
care
just
about
say,
this.
you're not very bright, Comet, so it sort of offended me.
It's okay.
Yeah, well, I was.
Faking his
Hey,
intelligence.
but I was. You remember like a million years ago when I started guessing this question, I did start to think that might be the right answer, but I still rejected it. So that was all on me. So I deserved to lose the point.
So, let me explain the answers. Sailor Moon is indeed on Blu-ray. That got like a special remaster. Digimon is on Blu-ray, but not officially. But alas, I do own the first season on Blu-ray.
All right.
And see, Pokemon, that is indeed on Blu-ray now. Yes, that came out only like a few months ago.
Okay, interesting. All
So,
right.
Cendoo, this is the final question. So far, you are winning with half a point. Okay, you've technically won, but let's see how much you can rub your face into Hannu's dirt.
Hey, wait a minute. What do you mean technically won? If he gets this wrong, I still get to guess.
I forgot that rule again, but he's
Yes, you
technically
did.
correct.
Yes, you did. I can still tie. I can't win, but I can still tie.
You can win if you guess right. That's
Yeah.
a full point.
Okay, sure.
I only got half a point because Kaiser gave away the answer.
Okay, sure.
Wouldn't be the first time in game show history.
All right.
But not on this show, completely different shows. But anyway, you ready for this, Cendoo? You're gonna like this. It's Sega related. Legit this time.
Oh.
Which
What? Which? That's as extremely vague question as it gets.
Sorry, you moaned and interrupted me. Do not interrupt the host. But anyway, which Sonic game and which Sonic the Hedgehog game does Kaiser have the remix soundtrack to on vinyl record? A. Sonic Labyrinth. B. Sonic 3D Blast. C. Sonic R. Or D. Sonic Jam.
Well, let's go down the list. Labyrinth does not have a soundtrack. 3D Blast is called Flicky's Island in Australia. And Jam is a compilation of games. So yeah, it's Sonic R.
Correct!
Can you feel the sunshine on a bright and sunny day? Or something like that.
Yeah, okay, first of all, Sonic R is the only one of those games that had a separate soundtrack. I mean, Sonic Jam is just the 4 games on Genesis Mega Drive, a compilation, so that would be a very...
I could totally see those two being like Labyrinth. No, but the other two, I could have totally seen them having a soundtrack CD. Sega's put out a lot of soundtrack CDs. That's a surprising.
Oh, if there was a Sonic Labyrinth soundtrack, Kaiser would have bought it and just bragged about it.
All right.
And
I guess
the
I
question
gotta.
technically was, what remix soundtrack do I have? Not full-blown soundtrack, but the remix soundtrack of.
Yeah, that was an important part of the question. Yeah.
Sonic R is with the world's greatest soundtrack, is the only one worthy of such a thing.
And
Nice.
I indeed do have a remix soundtrack of Sonic R on vinyl.
Nice. I was about to say that I'll probably have to add a little fanfare there in Cendoo's honor because he won the game. Well done. Excellent.
Alright, now here's my question to you. A question everyone should know but doesn't. What's OK an acronym of?
Okie dokie.
No.
I've heard the urban myth that it originated from the American Civil War. That on a day where there were no kills, it was 0 kills, and that's where the OK acronym.
No.
But I'm pretty sure that's a myth. Yeah.
Okay, now for the prize, which I'm going to randomly generate via eBay.
You don't want
The first thing that pops up on eBay is gonna be your prize, and your prize is still loading, and your prize is
Still loading.
Thank you.
the Criterion edition of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas on Blu-ray.
What the heck is that?
Fear and Loathing in Las. No, what? It's a movie.
Oh.
It's an
Thanks. That
old
was the part I
movie
was
from like the
confused about.
90s. Or is it the 80s?
Well, don't you want to know the answer to my question? No? Huh.
Yeah, sure.
It actually is in the 30s, used as part of a re-election campaign for President, what was it? Martin van Burden. It's actually an intentional misspelling of all correct, like O-R-L for all correct.
Okay, never heard that. Interesting.
And Hannu, you do get a consolation prize.
Okay.
Oh, please be Beauty and Warrior.
I'm pulling something randomly out of the CD collection, and you get various artists. Sound of Sound, various.
No.
Okay.
That's
I'll gladly take it. I don't know what it is, but I'll gladly take it.
I don't know what it is,
if
but
it was
it's a
me,
real album.
I would have sent Hannu a Pink Ranger costume.
You really, really want me in that Power Rangers costume, don't you, you sick bastard?
No. I picture you more as yellow or orange.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
just
that was
your
fun.
color.
That was fun. And before we get to the topic of the day, I think we need to take a little break. I need to take a little break. So we'll pause the episode now, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to the podcast. Now we get to the actual topic of the day, which is, the guys really, this is funny because we were talking about making jokes about the Sega Saturn and everything, but actually these guys really wanted us to talk about the Sega Saturn, so and my voice went really high there, so sorry about that.
I'm surprised he didn't open up with a joke. You're gonna like this. This topic's about Sega Saturn and about Street Fighter.
Oh boy. Yeah, okay, but so these guys wanted to talk about and gush over the Sega Saturn. Yeah, but and so, unfortunately, like, I didn't grow up with the Sega Saturn. I've never even laid my eyes on a Sega Saturn in real life. I've seen a Saturn game once, like a physical copy, but yeah, but I do know the history of it, of course, because, a long time ago I did a series called, the history of video games, and it's Sega, and I've researched Sega a bit. So my part is probably going to be a little bit depressing, because the Saturn's history was kind of depressing, but these guys are going to be talking about the games a little bit more. But let's give a little bit of background, in case somebody came into this podcast blind, and I'm like, who the hell are you? But just to give a little bit of background on what the Sega Saturn actually is, we talked about it already, so in case you didn't know, and if you weren't like looking it up on Wikipedia while we were doing that little game, so the Sega Saturn was Sega's third home console. They had the 8-bit console, which was the Master System. Then they had the 16-bit system, which was the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis, depending on where in the world you lived. And then came the Saturn. And then came the Dreamcast after that. It was their last console. And Saturn had a bit of a rocky,
It was only successful in Japan.
It was that's a good way. The good way of putting it. It did very well in Japan, but it had like one of the most disastrous console launches in North America, and then in Europe. And I do have something to say about this because as a European, in Europe, it also didn't do so well. People have often put it down because the release was so rushed. And also, this is something that people might not know, is that back in the mid-90s, like, a lot of big console companies didn't actually have, like, direct representation in Europe. Like, even Nintendo didn't have back then. They just had a bunch of, like, distributors in different parts of Europe. And people forget, like, most people, like, even back in, like, 95 and 96, like, most countries in Europe were still not, like, in the European Union. So it was all, like, kind of scattered and everything. So... yeah, but, I've seen gaming magazines, and I remember gaming magazines from around the time. The failure of the Saturn over here, it wasn't like for a lack of trying. There were a lot of games on it, and magazines certainly, like, wrote a lot about them. But, yeah, it just never really panned out. But the thing that I have gathered is that people who have had a Saturn, people who have played it, seem to generally like it and seem to generally have a very high opinion of it. And I certainly, if I ever was presented with the opportunity to actually play a Sega Saturn, I know I would probably like it because the Nintendo 64 is my favorite console of all time. I might not like Sony the company, but I like PlayStation 1 games. I have a lot of like nostalgia involved with that. So ergo, I would probably love the Saturn as well. So you guys, do you want to start with some of your favorite games for the Saturn, or where do you want to start? Will we give Cendoo the honor of starting because he's the guest?
Oh, that's what I got to start with. Well, besides the obvious Sonic R, the Shiny games are really interesting, and there's Burning Rangers, which is a lot of fun, and Bomberman Saturn, and that's not a clever name. Saturn is actually in the title. It's Bomberman Saturn. There's some trivia. Oh, and Die Hard Arcade, you ever heard of that? It has nothing to do with the movie. It's basically Dynamite Cop, a beat 'em up.
All right, yeah. Hey, what is Burning Rangers like? I know it from the Sonic racing game, the Sonic and All Stars racing game. But there's a Burning Rangers stage, but I don't actually know what the game is.
Burning Rangers. Well, it's kind of like firefighting, but you put out fires with a laser gun. It's got this heavy anime. It's a 3D, not platformer, but it is a 3D like action game.
Okay.
You're in these space stages, and the goal is to put out fires with your gun and also rescue hostages.
All right.
Or not hostages. Not hostages. People trapped in burning places, ships and stuff.
Okay. All right.
It's got a heavy anime intro, which is kind of a thing on YouTube, you know.
Okay, I've never seen that, but I'll definitely check it out after the podcast. But yeah, okay, cool. And also, you mentioned Sonic R, and Sonic R is one of those games, and we've talked with Kaiser about this actually. I think in our Sonic the Hedgehog Let's Play is that Sonic R, is a game that people tend to infamously, and we joked about the soundtrack previously, but you guys, both of you guys, are actually like heavy proponents of that game, and
yes.
kind of hold fast to the idea that, well, it's probably true that the reason most people don't like it is only because they don't know how to play it. Because
you saw my Let's Play of it, right, Hannu?
I must have, yeah. Was that on its tail time?
It was on YouTube. You commented on it. You said,
but I mean, it came out during its tail time days. That's what I'm saying. It's obviously on YouTube. It wouldn't be on Blip.
I think so.
And if it was on Blip, nobody could watch it now.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember. I just made that to test a new capture device. Worked pretty well.
Yeah, I probably saw it, but it was like a million years ago. Yeah.
Ouch. Yeah. An angry nerd covered Sonic R. That's all he said was the controls were so slippery I can't even stay on the track. A lot of people don't know you're supposed to use the back buttons to help you turn, like it tilts you.
Yeah, but it seems like most people don't read instructions anyway. So yeah,
that's why they got rid of them.
Even Screw Attack put Sonic R as the #1 worst Sonic game of all time.
Oh, come on, there's much worse Sonic games out there.
They put it above, like, Sonic 06 was an honorable mention on the list. They put it above Sonic Drift, above Sonic Labyrinth, and those Game Gear games. I think #2 was Sonic Shuffle or something.
Okay.
But that's not the point.
All right, yeah. Okay, and Kaiser, do you want to share some of your favorite Saturn games?
Yes, indeed. You might have to cut that out. I'll just copy.
I've been sniffing and coughing all the way, so people probably gotten used to it by now. They're already half an hour into the podcast.
I don't know, man. That was pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'll be fine. My lung will go back in perfectly.
Okay, good.
But yeah. Some of my favorite games for the Sega Saturn include, one is Street Fighter Alpha 2. And why Street Fighter Alpha 2 when it came out on a bunch of systems? And why Street Fighter Alpha 2 compared to all the other consoles? Well, the Sega Saturn version is the one that's pretty arcade perfect. Granted, it does have load times in between, levels. But it's not just that. It also plays a bit better than the arcade version, like a bit smoother.
Okay.
And it's also quite fun. There was also an updated edition for Alpha 2 that was released. Well, it was also released in arcades, but it was also released on Saturn as well. That gives you.
I was actually trying to avoid including games that were on other consoles, like Mega Man 8, I think.
I'm trying to do that too, but the Street Fighter Alpha 2 port for Saturn is much better than the PlayStation port, which PlayStation port isn't that great, and the PC port is even worse.
That's an extreme rarity right there, because usually the PlayStation ones are better.
Other standouts for me is a beat 'em up called Free Dirty Dwarves, where you play as three dirty dwarves, each with their own special ability that you can switch between.
Okay.
And it's pretty much a beat. It's a 2D beat 'em up with like puzzle elements in it. It's a very weird game. It's a bit hard to get into, and it's also quite hard. Like hard to get into, and it's also quite hard at the same time. So that's a tricky one. But it does have a really good art style, and it definitely feels like
When's the last time you played Three Dirty Dwarves?
He actually reminded me of a few games I forgot, like Knights and
because I'm looking at these pictures, and I'm not a fan of the art style, but okay, sure.
Yeah, it is a bit on the ugly side, but it is quite interesting. It definitely felt like like something that started off as a Sega Genesis idea, like it's done by like one of those big tiers that like did stuff like the Ooze and Comic Zone.
Yeah. It does have like a bit of a
Sega Institute or something.
You mean Sega Technical Institute?
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah, maybe. But this looks more like who did this actually? Oh, it does say Sega Soft. Yeah, I think STI was already. This is '96, so STI was probably like on its way, like to being disassembled. That's a depressing story I'm not going to go into, but yeah, sure. Sorry, I interrupted you. So.
And of course, there's some more obvious games out there, such as the Virtua Fighter series, which is, of course, I don't need any explanation to how that plays. It's just a 3D fighting game to where you got a punch, a kick, and a block button, and it's done really well. It's a lot deeper than how I make it out to be. Just avoid the Mega Drive port of Virtua Fighter 2. That thing is garbage.
Yes, I have a long-standing grudge against the Mega Drive version of that game, and sadly, I've never played the Saturns. I have gazed my eyes upon a Virtua Fighter, one of the original like arcades, like a long time ago, but never got to play one. The closest thing I've ever gotten to, and this actually kind of ties in a little bit, I did. It was around the holidays. I did the graphic quirks of the 5th console generation video, and that's where I talked about the Saturn as well, and I talked about Saturn's interesting graphic quirk, but people might have noticed that the footage I used for the Saturn segments, okay, there was one legit Saturn game, two legit Saturn games there. One was Nights into Dreams. It was the Xbox 360 version, but it was still, a Saturn game, and then Kaiser kindly provided footage from Sonic Jam. But then the footage that I used for Virtua Fighter was clearly not the Virtua Fighter from, like, the Saturn. It was the 32X version that I was playing on an emulator. But, like, that's the closest thing I've gotten to it. But I actually like the 32X version. I think it's pretty good, personally.
And the Master System version of Virtua Fighter is underrated. I know a lot of people would say that version's crap, but those people are full of crap. That version is underrated, damn it.
Guys, Hannu's one of the people that say that version's full of crap.
I said Master System.
He said Master System, not Mega Drive.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I didn't know there was a Master System version of Virtua Fighter.
It's very rare.
I imagine so. Like, if it's on the Master System, it has to be.
It only came out in Brazil. And it's not really based on Virtua Fighter per se, it's based on the anime.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But hey, that's actually something I do like, because in the Virtua Fighter, well, eventually, like, the Virtua Fighter series, like, evolved where the characters started looking like people and not like blocks. But honestly, I always like that. I always like the fact that the characters were a little bit blocky. I thought that was an interesting, cool kind of design choice. I mean, it was a design choice that was probably, like, dictated by technical limitations, but I always liked that. I always liked the blocky characters in Virtua Fighter, and it kind of bummed me out because I played, like, 5 on, like, PlayStation 3, I think, and it's like, yeah, this isn't as cool anymore. But now they're just people.
But yes, I do. I am more of a fan of the blocky look of the Virtua Fighter characters over the more realistic ones for the Saturns. Like, sure, they're blocky, but they still look good. They got nice bright colors. They just look they've got a very certain charm to them. And if you like Virtua Fighter, some other games you might like, it includes Fighting Vipers. Actually, the main reason you'd like this is probably for the main girl of the group called I think it's either Honey or Candy. I think she has
Honey.
both names.
Honey.
Yeah, Honey.
Yep.
I can hear him looking her up. And
I'm not interrupting. I was helping there. Come on, go on.
There's this really bizarre game, like, you know, how you got these Sega All-Star games. Well, they sort of had a Sega All-Star game before Sega All-Star games was a thing called, not Fighting Vipers, called Fighters Mega Mix. Sorry, got the name wrong a few times, but Fighters Mega Mix. It's an all-star fighting game where they take characters from Virtua Fighter, Fighting Vipers. They got characters from Sonic the Fighters, but not Sonic themselves, which is a bit of a drag. They got Virtua Cop characters. They got
Yeah, I'm looking at I'm looking it up on Google image search, and I think this is the character selection screen, so I can definitely see the Virtua Fighter characters. They even had Duran. What's the name of the Virtua Fighter? The boss, Durrell. Okay, and I do see the duck. There's the duck from Sonic Fighters,
and
which you love always bringing up, like even on the Sonic Forces Let's Play, you bring up Sonic Fighters, and I've never played Sonic Fighters, so But I'm looking at the guys in the low corner, and they look like some kind of bad fan art. They don't look like...
Oh, there are some terrible characters in this. Like, there's a big giant balloon bear, which is more of a joke character. There's also the Sega AM2 logo, which is the palm tree. Yes, you can get to play as the palm tree. And you'll like this. You also get to play as the Hornet, which is the main car from Daytona, USA.
Yeah, I'm seeing
Daytona.
Yeah, I'm seeing pictures of the Daytona car fighting another Daytona car, and also some guy, some guy who's literally called Tokyo. That's the character's name. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's got a weird mishmash of characters, and other games, of course, there's Nights into Dreams. I never did get to play Shining Force 3, unfortunately, but that's a game I really want to play. And some other games that, lucky you, some other games that interest me that I haven't actually played yet is one called Astral, where you play as like this little anime boy character that uses like diamonds or something. I'm guessing he's a genie.
Yeah, okay.
And what's another good example? Some of my favorite Sega Saturn games, like that are exclusive to the console. And yes, you can probably tell that I'm trying to vent out just so I can think of a title.
Yeah, because I can't. I've obviously never played Saturn, but I have played a good bunch of games that were on the Saturn, but were also released for other systems. So one obvious big one, early release title is actually, and I would actually be interested to try this out, like Tomb Raider on the Saturn.
Tomb Raider.
I played that one. That's interesting.
Triangle Rocks.
Triangle Rocks. Don't you dare call Laura Croft's boobies that.
I wasn't.
Okay, and also
like that literally.
Yeah, and the first Resident Evil was on Saturn as well.
Yes, the thing about the Resident Evil on Saturn is that's an uncut version. Like the PlayStation version had stuff cut out of it.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's cool. And also, I know Symphony... I'm always mixed on this. Is Symphony of the Night on Saturn, or was that cancelled?
Yes.
It is, but it's
much
rarer than the PlayStation version.
Yeah, and that one...
And it's not as good.
Well, that seems unfeasible because, you know, isn't that the version where you get to also play as Maria?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And then, of course, Mega Man 8, which...
I'm Aquaman, but you can call me Handsome Guy.
Yeah. But, like, Mega Man 8, that's an interesting one, and I seriously would like to get a chance to try that out, although I'm betting that, you know, because Mega Man 8 is kind of weird and obscure, then the Saturn version is probably even more so. What I'm getting at is, like, in the Saturn version, what I know about is, of course, like, the Tengu Man stage music is completely different, and I really like the Saturn version, so that's one of the reasons I would like to try it out. But then also because they included, like, 2 hidden bosses in the Saturn version, didn't they? They had, like, Cutman and Woodman.
It's only about $340 game, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Is that
If you want the Japanese version, then it's only $60.
there's actually a ton of Mega Man games out on the Sega Saturn, and a lot of them came out in like US ports too that are quite obscure and expensive. Like you got Mega Man X3, you got Mega Man X4. I don't know about Mega Man
Oh
X5.
yeah, that one. Okay, you're talking about, but
And you
Mega
got
Man X.
Mega Man 8.
Okay.
And other thing.
But
You also got what else do you have? You also got this weird FMV Mega Man game.
What?
yeah, that's Super Adventure Rockman. That was Japanese exclusive. But
Japanese.
but on the Mega Man X3, that wasn't exclusively on the Saturn. That also came out on the PlayStation. But I think it had like this really weird release cycle because people seem to kind of know about it, but it wasn't like widely available. So I don't know. Maybe it was in Europe. I don't know if it was released in North America. Like it was one of those weirdos that maybe skipped like the US release.
The thing I can tell you about Mega Man games, like the rare ones, like Mega Man X3 and the racing one, is like I don't remember seeing them in shops, but I do remember seeing them in like video rental shops all the time.
Oh yeah.
So I guess I was more of a renter.
Yep. The X3, the remake that was on the PlayStation and Saturn, like the two things that are different is that number one, they put in a few FMVs, like they put like a big FMV intro, and then like had FMV like introduction cutscenes for all the Mavericks, and then they also remix the music, and some of the remixes are really good. Some of them I honestly feel like the Super Nintendo version was way better. Yeah. But
You say so.
yeah. Hey, I want to bring this up because, like I said, I don't have a lot of first-hand experience with the Saturn, but I did do that. So, Cendoo, did you see, I know Kaiser's seen it, but Cendoo, did you see the graphic quirks video that I did on the 5th generation consoles?
No.
Yeah, so, but do you know about what was the kind of weird thing about the Saturn compared to the other 3D consoles?
It was, the Saturn, its big selling thing, 7 processors or 3, whatever. It was actually made it really difficult to program for, so a lot of games look worse on the Saturn.
Yeah, it was difficult to program for. That was not the only, or that wasn't like a unique feature. Like even the N64 had a little bit of that problem as well. But the thing that I talked about specifically in the video was the fact that the Saturn is one of the few consoles ever that used square polygons and not triangular ones, because almost every console, even today, most game engines, they use triangle-shaped polygons to make up like all the items and objects and characters in games. And the Saturn's one of the few ones that uses square ones, and that's kind of weird. And that's kind of cool because I love looking at that footage from Sonic Jam that Kaiser lent me, and then I'm thinking like, man, like those spikes are actually squares technically, like very sharp edged, like sharp angled squares, but squares nonetheless.
Amazing.
Yeah. The thing that I talked about other things like the PlayStation.
It seemed like a good idea in theory, but nobody knew how to do that. Is the problem?
Yeah.
There was like a Saturn PC.
No, I didn't know there was a Saturn PC. I know Sega had a PC division already back then. Like they put out a lot of games on PC back in the day.
It's I think LGR did a video on it. He's got one.
Oh yeah,
it is
Not everything though.
It is pretty much a computer, but it was like made for like Saturn games in the same way, but PC ports. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
One of the many things the Saturn had that just kind of faded under. Like, bet you didn't even know there actually are third-party controllers for the Saturn.
It doesn't surprise me that there would be, but hey,
Hey, what a wonderful kind of day.
Which controllers? Oh, first of all, I know Kaiser, you have a Dreamcast. Do you have a Saturn?
Yes, I do. I've got a Dreamcast and a Saturn.
And Cendoo certainly has a Saturn.
I have 3.
Oh, now you're just boasting it. But hey, I was just wondering. So do you have both controls? Do you have both of the styles of the controls, the original and the version that came with the Knights?
There's actually 3 versions. The when they remodeled the Saturn a little with round buttons and slightly updated whatever, they redesigned the controller a little, made it a little sleeker.
Yeah. And does it
So
have
there's
an
actually
analog?
three, and I have all three of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, did it have an analog stick, or was it something like a kind of weird knob thingy?
It's actually more like a mini trackball thing, like half a trackball.
Okay, that's interesting.
It is analog movement, but it does not feel like an analog stick. Still an improvement over the D-pad for games that support it.
Yeah.
Few there were.
I bring that up. I bring that up.
Randomly. Sorry, the sequel to the Strike series on Saturn, Soviet Strike, supported it.
Yeah, I bring that up because there's an interesting bit of game development trivia is the fact that when Rare was making GoldenEye, when they started making it before the final specs for the N64 had come out. So they were making it on a Silicon Graphics PC and used a Saturn controller to program it. So that would not happen today. That would be so weird. But that's what you had to do back in the mid-90s.
Hey, like the long box PS1 games, I think they bought those from Sega.
Oh, yeah.
That long jewel case the Saturn games have, those are terrible. Like, every time you open them, you worry you're going to break them.
Yeah,
I think space.
Yeah, like I said, that actually, yeah. By the way, I've actually only once in my life ever even laid eyes on a physical Saturn game, and it was like a comic book event in another town. There was also a cosplay. I don't want to say it was a con because it was a little too small to be a convention, but it did have like convention-y things. Like there were talks, and then there was a cosplay competition, but then there were like stands. People were selling like mangas and also fan arty doohickeys. And then there was one guy who was selling old video games, and he had like the normal NES, Super Nintendo, Mega Drive. But then I did notice, and it was like sticking out from amongst, I don't know, were they PlayStation games or something? But I noticed there was one that had like a weird shaped box, and I realized like it was like it was a boxed copy of Nights into Dreams, and I thought about like buying it for like 5 seconds, and then like, I don't have a Saturn. I can't be bothered to get one, so,
Yeah, you could get one of those emulators that read Saturn discs.
Oh, there is one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Because there isn't one like for the CDI, and I think because nobody has found like the codecs for it, so that's the reason. Even though somebody should really get on that, because I hear like the CDIs are like dying. The consoles are like all like have components that are rotting away inside. Yeah.
And the CDI, it's not easy to get a working one of those.
But yeah, the Sega Saturn cases, like the first versions, annoy me because what they are is they're just like cardboard, just glued the plastic. So if
So basically, like old school DVDs or DVD covers.
Yeah.
It's plastic like jewel cases, but huge.
Yeah, I did like the replacement. Like they went more of like a traditional slip cover, to where like printed on paper and put into like a big plastic slip cover instead.
The Japanese Saturn games had those smaller jewel cases, and they look way better too. The artwork and stuff.
Actually, some Sega Saturn games, actually, not many, did come in jewel cases in Power Regions.
I know. Like when they released like those bundles, 3 games in one thing they did and stuff. I know. Or when it came with something else, like a gun or something. Yep. Actually, I don't think there were any first-party gun controllers on the Saturn.
Oh, have you seen the Japanese Virtua Cop controllers? They're all realistic looking. They're all black and everything.
Virtua Cop's a lot of fun.
It is.
I never really got into any of the Virtua games besides the Virtua Fighter ones, because
Virtua Fighter, Virtua Racing, Virtua Tennis. I don't know. They just like the name Virtua.
Was there a Virtua Soccer?
Yes.
Yeah, because I remember that was a big thing. Because maybe this is like a 90s video game rivalry that nobody else gives 2 shits about. But did you know that Sega and Gremlin had a little bit of a rivalry going on, because Gremlin had the Actua series. Sega had Virtua and Gremlin had Actua.
Hey, don't forget Sensible Software. They had the Sensible series.
Oh boy.
I
hope. Oh god, I hope Duravka's not listening to this. I do not like the Sensible Soccer games. I tried that one. That was. I think the intros are hilarious, but the game is terrible. And I like soccer games. That's the weird thing, or football games. I've kind of gotten weird like that. I flip flop on using football and soccer interchangeably. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted. What were you guys about to say?
Let's say yes, there is indeed a Virtua Soccer series, but it's called Virtua Striker, and that's mainly an arcade series.
Yeah.
Oh, shark.
Yeah, and God, I had one other thing about. Oh yeah, this is the thing. Okay, Kaiser, if you have this, then I'm willing to concede that you are like the king of hipster obscure retro things. But you know what? What's the most obscure? You know what is the most obscure fucking game that I would just love to have? You know, even if I didn't have a Saturn, I would. But if I could somehow get my hands on this, I would be so happy.
Mr. Bones.
No, I don't even know what the hell that is. No, but you know, I talked about this. You know, Cleopatra Fortune.
Oh, that's a great game. I've played that in the arcade. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a Taito puzzle game, and we talked about this when we were doing Pucci Karat because
Super Tempo.
Because the girl from that is Patraco is an unlockable character in that. But yeah, I played it on the Taito Legends collection, and it was the arcade version. But I know for a fact there was a Sega Saturn port. But because the game wasn't like a huge hit, so it's very rare as well. So if somebody has like a fucking Saturn version of Cleopatra Fortune, like that would be like the absolute holy fucking grail of like obscure games for Saturn.
Hannu.
Sorry. Yep.
It also came out on the Sega Dreamcast as well.
Did it? Okay, I didn't know about that.
And they're both incredibly rare and expensive.
I've never played a Dreamcast either, but I've actually played way more Dreamcast games because a lot of them were re-released on.
Well, unlike the Saturn, the Dreamcast is actually an affordable thing to collect for.
Yep.
Okay, I should probably look into that someday.
But
I would love.
I got the black Dreamcast, the sports edition. It's pretty cool.
Oh, sweet. I've always wanted the Hello Kitty one myself.
Didn't we?
Wait, I didn't even know there was a Hello Kitty Dreamcast.
There is in Japan.
Hey, Kaiser, didn't we get stuck with the ugly blue swirl? The PAL version had the blue swirl.
I love that blue swirl.
Okay, well, fine. I just hate it because they had to change the logo because there was like a German telecommunications company that had like almost the exact same logo that looked like the Dreamcast logo, and they had to change it from orange to blue. So that always bugs me when they have to do like small things. You want to hear something
funny?
Yep.
The first two things I thought of when I saw the Sega Dreamcast logo back in the days, like, is Sega trying to hypnotize us? Going back to rare games, the most rare and obscure game that I managed to play for the Sega Saturn was one of the sequels to Tempo. Does anyone remember Tempo?
No, I do not.
I do. I love Tempo. And you're good to go. You leave it funky, and you catch a groove. Tempo had 3 games on the Game Gear, the 32X, and the Saturn. Yeah, it never really had a chance to shine.
Yeah, and I've actually got a video of that I need to re-upload. It's just me freaking out about the game because it's so trippy, so weird.
So what kind of a game is it?
It's a platformer.
It's a 2D side-scroller. Yeah,
platformer.
A 2D platformer.
Okay. I might like it.
Music.
I might like it.
It's got a music theme. It's got a music theme. You play this bug. You can kick and shoot little things and fly. Kick.
One of the things I love about the Sega Saturn is how easy it is to play imports on. All you need is just this one little accessory called the Action Replay, which not only just works as a region switcher thing, but also works as like a memory expander. Like
for what?
Because some games required like this extra cartridge to boost up the graphic memory on it. So it could actually run on the Saturn? Yeah, some Sega Saturn games were too intense for the Sega Saturn, so they had to have this special cartridge. It was mainly with fighting games. And that's how you get some of these brilliant ports of fighting games, like X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom. Those ports are brilliant, well, compared to the PS1 versions. Like, in the PS1 version of X-Men vs. Street Fighter, you can't even tag, but in the Sega Saturn version, you can.
So it's kind of like the memory expansion of the Nintendo 64, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, cool.
And instead of a memory card slot, the Saturn had a cartridge slot which held a lot more memory than the PS1 memory card. But it also had other features.
And another add-on I've got for my Sega Saturn, which I'm lucky to have. Like a lot of people, like a lot of Americans think that this thing don't
Saturn.
exist. Like every
Saturn
time
had a
I
hard drive. Just throwing that out
But
there.
every time I mention this to American friends, they're like, they don't exist. That only existed in Japan, and that is the PAL version of the Sega Saturn VCD card, which lets you, you've guessed it, if you plug it in, it lets your Sega Saturn play video CDs. Wow! Remember video CDs, kids? You know?
Once. No, video on CD didn't do well at all.
I've seen one. My dad, because we have, or I have a CDI. Well, it was my dad's, but then I inherited sort of. Was that he once brought home a video CD copy of The Witness, the Harrison Ford movie.
Nice.
And that's the only one I've ever seen. I knew there were others, but that was the only one I ever saw.
That's ironic, is that the Saturn is the only disc Sega system that had some protection against pirated discs.
Yep. And
like the Sega CD and Dreamcast, you didn't have to do anything to it to play burnt discs.
Oh yeah,
No,
yeah.
you
But
didn't.
PlayStation did. PlayStation did have some kind of.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's odd that Saturn did and Dreamcast didn't. That's.
Oh yeah, but
Yeah,
but Dreamcast used the Dreamcast used its own format. It wasn't like a standard DVD. It was
It was a CD with a little more memory.
Yeah.
But
It was
not every game. Sorry.
It was called a GD.
Yeah, so it was kind of.
Not every.
So it's sort of proprietary format anyway. So that made it more difficult.
Yeah, but the thing is
theoretically, and then they accidentally released. Well, not Sega, but some other company released this kind of device. I don't know, some kind of, is it kind of Game Shark style device that basically lets you play any, even pirated games. So that's so that immediately it nullified the effect. Yeah.
Yeah, I used that to play a Japanese game. I'm saying from a lot of games didn't even use the extra memory the Dreamcast discs had, which was instead of 800 or 700 megabytes, it had 1100, which sadly was still less than the GameCube discs had, and 1/5 what a DVD could hold.
Yeah. Well, the GameCube, those were just small DVDs, weren't they? They weren't anything special. What?
No, they didn't have as much space as a DVD. It had 1.5.
Well, yeah, that's why I said small
gigs.
That's why I said small DVDs. Obviously, they couldn't hold as much as a whole DVD because they were tinier.
It was one of the many ways Nintendo tried to stop piracy. That's why N64 had cartridges.
Okay, and that's the thing. If you actually did put in a mini DVD or a mini CD in the GameCube, it just wouldn't recognize it as a GameCube disc. It just wouldn't play.
Well, yeah, obviously there were other stops, but that was just one part of trying to stop people from using it. The Saturn. I don't know. Do I want to make this a downer and ask you what your least favorite games for the Saturn are?
Ooh,
I could
good
tell
question.
you. Just a game I bought randomly. Hang on a sec. I don't even remember the name of it.
Well, while Cendoo's trying to remember, can Kaiser say something?
Yes, it's a game called Dracula Detective.
Okay.
It's a it's not really a game. It's just more like a mini movie than anything.
All right.
And it's one of those. I don't know what the story is because there's no English in it whatsoever because it was an imported game. So I probably would like it more if I did understand what was going on. But it's a game where you can beat it by just keep on mashing the start button to skip all the cutscenes.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I'm back.
And there's this other
game.
Yeah.
I got this Japanese Tenchi Muyo disc, which has a collection of images and a few video clips. But my least favorite is this game called AMOK. It's just a very bad game, just in general. The graphics are incredibly pixely. The draw distance is horrendous. It's got one death, game over thing, no continues. That's it.
So that's how you pronounce the name of the game. I've always pronounced that game as AMOK.
AMOK, whatever.
AMOK.
Have you played it?
This looks like...
No, but I've seen it on store displays.
I got it just because it was cheap and complete in box. Didn't know anything about it. You're like
This-
playing as a tank thing, and you just don't know what to do.
Tank thing. I'm looking at if this is the same game. It looks like more like a chicken walker from it's a mecha.
Yeah.
Mecha, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the same game. This I'm trying to see what the creator logo. That doesn't look like a Japanese company. That looks like
It,
yes.
that's my least favorite Saturn game.
Okay. Anything else?
Muck.
Anything else you guys want to bring up on the Saturn?
Yeah, the Japanese Saturn has way more games, and all the games are cheaper on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard that. Like we have Bernie Stolar to thank for that because
Yes.
have you heard about this guy Bernie Stolar?
Yes. Good old Gooch and the douchebag wouldn't stop talking about him. He's the one who said that JRPGs wouldn't work in the States, and a lot of anime RPGs on Saturn didn't get released here because of it.
Yeah, he was the former CEO of Atari's game, like the console division. Like he was briefly like head of Atari during like the Jaguar years, and somehow that gave him the qualifications to become the head of Sega of America. And he was the guy who basically, like, the American launch for the console was like completely butched. But then, like, he's the guy who, like, then he's the guy who
Pulled the plug on it after only 2 years.
pulled the plug. Yeah, I was trying to come up what's the other name for it. He euthanized the
Abort.
Saturn, so let's put it that way.
Discontinued it, basically.
Yeah.
And yet, some people from Sega think that him leaving the company right before the Dreamcast result launched contributed to its decline.
Yeah, I don't see that. Like that
No,
that
the
guy,
Dreamcast had a very
but like the Saturn, like Sega has one of the most interesting and most chaotic like histories, like management wise. Like even like the Japanese and American divisions, that they didn't really like each other very much. Like it's like, and it's like the Saturn is like when the whole company kind of started to implode on itself.
And
It's
Sega of America suggested that the Genesis come with Sonic 1 free with it. The Japanese CEO got frustrated, stood up, kicked his chair over, then walked out and said, "Do what you think is best."
yeah, it's all kind of it was a weird time. Let's put it that way.
The Saturn is probably the most fascinating library of games I know of, just because there's no consistency. Like, you can see a PS1 game and recognize it, but the Saturn isn't like that. It has 2D games, 2.5D games, kind of 3D games. It's all over the place.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I think that's kind of cool because for a while, Capcom had to, because the reason Capcom put so much effort into the Mega Man 8 Saturn version actually was the fact that Sony initially didn't even want to release Mega Man 8 on the PlayStation because they wanted 3D games specifically. They wanted 3D because that was the whole big thing. They wanted to push it. And then, eventually, they realized, like, dude, it's Capcom. They're kind of a big deal. So, finally they did release it. And Mega Man Legends. And I've never played Mega Man Legends on the original, which is the PlayStation. I've only played the N64 version, weirdly. I have this weird thing where a lot of games, like, I've played, like, the later, lesser-known versions. Yep, sorry?
Actually, I think Mega Man 64 is slightly better than the original Legends.
Maybe the controls worked a little bit better. The audio is not as good, but that's only because it was on cartridge. Yeah.
Yeah, also a lot of cutscenes are gone because of it.
Are they? I thought there were still a lot of cutscenes, but okay, interesting.
Some of them are gone because they didn't have the space for it.
Okay, now that makes sense. Okay, but I think we're starting to wind down on this topic.
You want to talk about the launch of the Saturn?
Do you really want me to? I was trying to not talk about that because because I thought we wanted to keep it positive, but yeah, the whole thing where it went awry for Saturn. I mean, in Japan it was a big hit, like you said, and a big part of that was the commercials, like you mentioned. They had this character, which no, he's not Mr. Saturn, but they had this guy in the white gi.
Sega Ta Sanshiro.
Yeah, this guy in the white gi. So Sega put a lot into the advertisement of Saturn in Japan because before that,
if you don't play Saturn, this kung fu guy would come over and beat you up.
yeah, exactly. But and it got a lot of attention. It got the Saturn to be very big in Japan. But the reason Sega put so much effort into that is because the Mega Drive and the Master System and whatever previous iterations of the Master System had to come out. Like Sega was just not very popular in Japan for some weird reason during like the early years. Like the Genesis Mega Drive, it was really big in the United States and Europe, not so big in Japan. So Saturn was weirdly where they kind of flipped it around. That it was popular in Japan and not popular anywhere else.
I can't express this enough. I can't express this enough. It was also incredibly popular in Australia. And Australia is not Europe!
Well, yeah, but I guess that's the problem then. It's not like if it's one region within the broad PAL zone. That's not really...
Yeah, but the success the Saturn had in Japan and Australia was not nearly enough to make up for the hit they took in the...
Yeah, that's the really sad... And you know what's another weird...
The Saturn, they had to lay off 30% of their staff because of the loss.
Yeah, and you know what's another sad thing? This is gonna get really sad. You know what's another sad thing going from the Saturn to the Dreamcast? Did you know about that Microsoft actually wanted to produce the Dreamcasts? Originally, actually physically make the console, so Sega would just provide the specs, but Microsoft would do the heavy lifting. Yep.
It was two different people that proposed designs for the Dreamcast.
Oh yeah. But then when they were going into production, Microsoft offered Sega the chance to kind of go, forego because the thing is when you start launching a new console, it costs a lot of money just the materials to put them together, and that's why the Saturn had a lot of production shortages. So it could have sold more, but they just couldn't. But they couldn't just make enough consoles.
Yes, and anywhere they couldn't ship the system to, decided to refuse to sell Sega products, including Walmart.
Oh yeah. I mean that was already that was the Saturn thing, but that's the thing. The Dreamcast, it could have saved Sega, but they still kept making kind of bad decisions after that.
Oh, it also doesn't help that
it was doing really well until PS2 came out, and then the DVD thing.
Yeah, that
if it played DVD movies, then maybe.
Yep.
It also didn't help that EA didn't make any games for the Sega Saturn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they did. It was the Dreamcast they wouldn't support.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yeah,
we're not. Up.
Yeah, we're kind of talking about them.
Even though it's a failure, it is still the most fascinating system I find to collect for.
Yeah,
it's just hard to collect for.
Yeah. No. If we go back to the Saturn again, what went wrong with the Saturn launch? I think most people have heard the story. Of course, is that number one, Sega pushed it out too soon, early '95 when it was originally supposed to come out more towards the end of the year. But they pushed it out earlier because they wanted to get a leg up on the PlayStation, which was coming out in North America for the holiday season. But then, because they released it too soon, there weren't enough games, and the PlayStation was going to be cheaper. Yeah, and the PlayStation was going to be cheaper. So people decided that it wasn't worth paying, a lot of money for a new console when there weren't a lot of games out for it. And so that completely backfired on Sega. And then there were other problems, you guys have a very high opinion of Sonic R, but a lot of people actually wanted an actual proper Sonic game. And
yeah, it was supposed to be extreme.
Yeah, it was supposed to be extreme, and that went. And that's another there's a lot of bad stories there. So this is why I didn't want to talk about it, because it gets into a bit of a downer territory when you start looking more into it. And one more.
Honestly, all these negative things just makes it more fascinating. The PlayStation was a success from beginning to end. Now it's boring.
Yeah.
The N64 had good first-party games and terrible third-party games.
I would say they were all terrible. Wouldn't say they were all terrible, but yeah, the N64 didn't have the support. It didn't get the support it really needed to get to go up against the PlayStation, and plus Nintendo applied that weird strategy that they've always applied, that number one, that they released less games, and number two, they released them in these weird rather than like having them come out steadily across the year, they always release them like in bunches. Like there's a big release push like early in the year or in the summer or just before the holidays. But in the middle, there's like these long periods where you don't get anything. Yeah. Nintendo's always had that weird release cycle.
But yeah, when it comes to Saturn, the thing I always find fascinating about it is there's always, every time I talk with someone, there's always something new to discover with it.
Well, yeah, because it kind of fell into obscurity so quickly that people just don't generally know a lot about it. That's why I'm fascinated by it myself. I would love to get like just even get like a functioning Saturn, or maybe if there is that emulator that works, then maybe I could just look for the games. Yeah, because I'm saying that we've already talked for an hour on Saturn almost. I'm thinking that we should start wrapping this up and go to the Q&A. I'm gonna take a little break here. Yeah.
Sure. But first, how about some more Saturn trivia? The internet, the online play for Saturn still works.
It does. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yes, it direct. There's only like 8 games that support it, but it like direct dials from one Saturn to another. There's no server, so if you got a dial-up modem, you can still play online.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's another cool thing that most people probably don't remember. Like Saturn was the first real like online console. Yeah, but hey, I think we should take a break now, and when we come back, we'll do the Q&A. We'll wrap things up. So see you then. And welcome back from the break. And now it's time for the traditional White Devil Q&A. And we have 2 people who left us questions, which is nice, and we'll ask all of these, and you guys, of course, get to give your input. So our first question comes from somebody who has regularly left questions for us, and we really appreciate it. This one comes from Boobop1987. You remember Boobop, right, Kaiser?
Yep. Boobop. The girl in the glasses.
Yeah, the girl in the glasses, if you know what I mean. Sorry, I'm not making fun of her, but that's her like catchphrase. Yeah, sorry. I'm a little loopy because it's literally, well, it's not 5 o'clock anymore, but it's really early in the morning when we're recording this, for me at least. Okay. So anyway, Boobao has some questions for us. So she writes, okay, I got only 3 questions to ask you. 3 is a good number. Okay. Her first question is, what is your most Marvel film of all time? I think she was trying to ask what is our most favorite Marvel film of all time.
I don't know. I think she's asking which Marvel film feels the most like Marvel.
Well, those are 2 very interesting questions. You can feel free to answer both of them. People probably know my answer already. So, Kaiser, do you have a comment on this? Are you a Marvel guy?
Yes, I'm also a DC guy. I'm a comic book guy. Yes.
Yes.
Simpsons.
Yes. But I suppose they're asking what's the most marvelous Marvel film is.
Yeah, or she was writing most favorite and she forgot the word.
That
Marvel.
has to.
That
has to go to the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen those, but I plan to in the near future because I talked about this, I think, in my Super Mario Brothers 3 Let's Play, that I did actually go, I wasn't planning to, but I did go see the Infinity War, the newest Avengers movie. I only went to see it because we had free tickets, and my little brothers wanted to see it, so we went to see it, and yeah. So, but after that, I thought, okay, I need to see those Guardians of the Galaxy movies now, because those characters seemed interesting. Yeah. You want to add something, Kaiser?
Oh no, I've talked about these movies quite a bit over the past few episodes, if you remember, so there's nothing I really need to say.
Okay.
Other than, a shortened version of why I like them. Big, dumb, fun space action movies.
Okay,
That's
cool.
just a very short version of it.
All right. Cendoo?
No. I can't ever comment on Marvel films without someone going, ah.
Oh, come on. We're all friends here. You can say, what's your favorite Marvel movie?
I don't know. I can't tell them apart from DC.
Well, you just say a movie. We'll tell you if it's not Marvel.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's Marvel, yeah.
There you go. Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man trilogy.
Oh, the whole trilogy. Interesting. Okay, well,
Hey, there you go.
Yes, let's leave it at that because we got into, well, okay. We did you see our God damn it, what was that animal racing game called? Wild
The Zoo
Wheels, wasn't
Race?
it? Did you see that one where it was me, Kaiser, and Dorapka, and
No.
we almost got into a whole fight about like Spider-Man because all of us like different movies in the original Spider-Man trilogy.
I think I did see that,
I say we
actually.
almost got into a fight, but I was just like, I just found it very amusing. But we both like different things. I'm more into Spider-Man 3. Kaiser, your favorite was
The first one.
the first one, so I guess by a process of elimination, I think Dorapka liked the second one best. So yeah, okay. That's a good answer. And my favorite, people probably should know this because it's when I remake the comic book movie, my favorite comic book movies list. The Hulk, the Ang Lee Hulk has always been my favorite.
Hey, can we do her next question now?
Sure, but I wanted to add to the Marvel. I wanted to add to the Marvel pile just a little bit more to say that I like the Spider-Man movies, pretty much all of them. I was never a big fan of the first Raimi one, but like generally speaking, Spider-Man, if it's Spider-Man, like I'll like it. And the X-Men movies, I would say almost all of them I like. The only one that I don't like, that I'm not in love with, but I can still like enjoy it, is the second Wolverine movie, which is just called The Wolverine. Like that one is dumb, but to say the least. But if it's an X-Men movie, I'll probably like it. If it's a Spider-Man movie, I'll probably like it. And incidental movies in the MCU, I like. I'm not a big fan of the MCU as a whole, but incidental movies here and there. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So, Boobop's second question. Which one of the movies that you did see so far in the year 2018? Okay. Which one of the movies that you did see? Boobop probably wrote this in a hurry because the grammar's a bit off. I'm wondering if she's asking what movies we've seen in 2018. Yeah.
Or maybe I think she's asking out of the movies we've seen this year, which is our favorite or whatever.
Possibly. That's another way to take it.
Maybe just list some highlighted films you've seen this year.
Okay. Kaiser, do you want to go first, or Cendoo?
I think I've only seen one new movie this year so far, which is sad, and it was that stupid rabbit movie.
Which stupid rabbit movie?
Oh, don't pretend you don't know. You're so
Hop, wasn't it? Or was it Peter Rabbit?
Peter Rabbit.
Yes, it was Peter Rabbit.
Okay, I didn't see that.
Honestly, the film was better than I thought it would be, but it was still kind of corny.
Okay.
It didn't.
Why did they have the need to attitude up Peter Rabbit for?
Peter Rabbit? What would you say? I didn't hear you.
Why did they need to attitude him up?
Attitude him up?
Yeah,
I don't
make
know.
him more like...
I don't know. Is he based on something?
He's based on books. He's based
didn't
on
read 'em.
classic books.
I didn't read him.
Yeah, I don't know. I know nothing about Peter Rabbit myself, so I have no opinion on that one way or the other. Of the movie, my favorite movies that I've seen this year. Wait a minute. Now I'm having to actually think about what I've seen this year. I don't think I've been to the movies a lot this year. I did see The Disaster Artist, and that was good.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. Yeah. I think I saw. This doesn't count because I did see it before the end of the year, but I think earlier this year I also went to see The Last Jedi for a second time when we went to see it with my mom and my sister and her boyfriend. And then oh yeah, I saw Rampage, the video game movie that with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Was it beautiful?
What? Was
it beautiful?
That was a good movie. I liked it. Yeah. And
how many buildings were destroyed in it?
Many buildings were destroyed. I honestly wish there could have been a little bit more. Well, not destruction, but more like monster battles. I talked about that in my Super Mario 64 Let's Play. Shameless plugs here. But yeah, I like it.
Mario.
Yeah, I really like Rampage was good. I wish I could have seen the Tomb Raider movie, but I missed my chance. I'm sure it's still like running in some theater over here, but it's like in such late showings that I don't want to like drag myself to the movie theater to see it. So I'm just gonna wait for the DVD now.
Okay.
And yeah, what else? What else have I seen this year? I must have seen something else as well. Now I'm literally looking over at my movie tickets. Yeah, The Disaster
Okay.
Artist. That was a good one. I like the Rampage movie. Yeah, I haven't seen a lot this year, actually. I have not been to the movies a whole lot.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So you collect movie tickets, huh?
Yeah, I do.
You keep a
They're
little
they're very
scrapbook of them or
useful
something?
they're very useful for reminding me about movies I've seen. Okay, I did see the Solo movie, and we were talking a little bit with Kaiser before the podcast. He hasn't seen it, but I wouldn't say that was one of my favorites. There were good parts in it, but I honestly wish it could have been better, especially considering that Ron Howard was directing it. But the thing with those Star Wars spin-off movies right now is that they're not as good as the main installments. That's just a given. But it had good parts in it, I guess I could say. So maybe The Disaster Artist. Maybe that's the best one I've seen this year.
And for me, I haven't actually gone to the cinema this year, but two movies I have watched this year, which are older movies, well, actually older movies like 70s and 80s movies.
Yep.
One of them was I rewatched Manhunter. Fantastic movie. I like it a lot better.
Fantabulous!
Yeah, finally.
like it.
Yeah, I just recently rewatched the video where we were talking about Manhunter, and you had not seen it then yet. But that's
No.
great. Yeah, awesome. I like that.
I was showing
Awesome.
I was showing it to my grandmother who loves the Hannibal Lecter series. It's like, you might like this one. This is the first one that not a lot of people know about. And we loved it. I thought it told a brilliant job at telling a crime story. A real brilliant job. I like it better than Red Dragon, although there's some parts in Red Dragon I like a bit better in it than Manhunter.
Yeah, I've been thinking about I really need to get. That's the only one I'm still missing from my Hannibal collection is Red Dragon. I have Hannibal Rising and I don't have Red Dragon.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Manhunter's one of those movies that it's like a 2.5 hour movie, and it's just like a 2 hour movie, but it feels like it goes for 2 minutes because it's so well done, so entertaining, so fascinating. You just can't take your eyes off of it.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, it's a long movie, and it does have kind of the one thing I do. I think Ville almost fell asleep watching it because it does have that weird kind of new age '80s aesthetic, which I personally love. But it seems like it doesn't it's not maybe suited for just it's maybe not suited for everybody. But I like it. Yeah,
True.
definitely.
But then again, I also went into it. I also went into it a bit differently than what a lot of people would have went to. Me and my grandma went into it like trying to compare the two versions, like compare all the versions, just notice what they kept and whatnot. So we had like a little added game in there, and we're like, yeah, we didn't notice like big difference. Like this scene was a bit better. It was a bit gorier in Red Dragon. In this scene, it's gruesome, stuff like that. We've turned it into a game, and we really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the soundtrack the soundtrack is amazing. I love the soundtrack to that.
Yeah, heartbeat.
Yeah, but generally because it has that '80s synth soundtrack, that's why I like it. Yeah.
And the music is used well. I especially like when they use the Inagata de Vita as like to set up.
It does have
theme.
great source music, but I'm also talking about just the soundtrack that was made specifically, the pieces of music that was made specifically for the film, because it has that really like eerie sound to it, especially like the main theme, which is it's named after one of the families. If you look up the soundtrack, it's named after the house where the first murder. Well, not the first murder, but the most recent murder happens. I always forget what it's called. Yeah, but
which version did you watch? Which version did you watch? Did you watch the director's cut or the original theatrical cut?
I was not aware there was a director's cut. I think mine has just the theatrical cut. So what was added in the director's cut?
Well, you can tell what scenes are added into it because they're incredibly grainy.
Yeah.
But the press conference when they're describing like the two fairies' actions, like that's extended.
I didn't know there was a press conference. Are you talking about when they're talking at the police station when they show like the teeth?
Yes.
Oh yeah. That wasn't a press conference. That
scene.
was like an internal meeting at the police station. But yeah, okay. So that was extended. Okay. Did it have because it's been used in promotional shots, but they left it out of the movie. The tattoo, the Red Dragon tattoo.
I never noticed that, unfortunately.
Okay, maybe they didn't shoot it at all because that's the reason why. Well, they kind of downplayed the whole Red Dragon thing because it's called Manhunter and everything. But uh, that was the thing. Like one of the things that the director Michael Mann was in it.
Michael Bolton.
Imagine him directing a Hannibal movie.
Yeah, but the thing, Michael Mann didn't like the idea of the killer having like a big tattoo on him because he felt that it kind of downplayed his like.
Yeah,
humanity.
I sort of agree with that with this movie because that would have made it a little bit cartoony. Like it was especially cartoony in Red Dragon, like ultra cartoony, like the way.
Yeah, when Voldemort played him. Ray Fiennes, yeah, he's, or is it Ralph
Fantastic
Fiennes?
movie.
Is it Ralph Fiennes?
I never paid attention to his name.
Okay, whatever. Okay, but I think we've answered that question. So the last question that Boobab has for us, question number 3: have you guys ever drink sparkling in your life? And she adds, after all, I am a non-alcoholic. I don't drink alcohol at all. Alcohol bad. I think there's supposed to be one extra period that she's missing. Okay, so that was her last question. Have you ever drank sparkling? I think she means champagne, possibly.
I don't like the taste of champagne, but I really do like whiskey. Although I don't go crazy with it. I treat it like I treat it as it is, a treat, not a priority. Because if you treat alcohol like a priority, that's just bad. That's not drinking responsibly at all.
All right, Kaiser. I mean Cendoo. Sorry.
I have never drank anything alcoholic unless you count that church thing, but no, I don't drink sparkly. Thank you.
So just communion wine. Wow, I can't speak anymore. Okay, sorry, Kaiser. Yep. So
I was gonna say, isn't normally the wine in church like non-alcoholic or something like that?
I'm not really sure.
Not
but I don't
around
wanna think
here.
about
It certainly has alcohol in it. Yeah.
I'm not really sure, but I don't want to think about it too much.
If it burns your throat, it definitely does. Yeah.
It
So
didn't burn my throat. It just kind of tasted lousy.
yeah, but that's how you can tell that something has
For some
alcohol.
reason,
Yep.
I don't. The reason why I don't like champagne is like when I taste it, it tastes like, for me, it tastes like incredibly burnt toast with bubbles.
Yeah. There are people who don't like champagne. That's not weird, but yeah, I personally, so I don't drink at all. It's not a thing I do. And one of the reasons is that I don't like that burning sensation. So but also like I just don't like the taste.
You don't have a beer in the morning after work?
Beer in the morning after work. How did that work out?
It's called working third shift.
Yeah. Well, so I don't usually drink, but to me, like, it's not like okay, one time, the last time I can remember having something alcoholic was in Glasgow. There was this group of, have I told you the story? There was a girl there who was also Finnish, who was also on exchange. She was studying law, and so there was this group of Finnish students that we hung around with, small group. Like, there was 4 of us together. So, and then there was this one Swedish girl who liked hanging out with us, so she came along sometimes. So she had a birthday while we were in Glasgow, and she had champagne, and I was invited, but I hadn't like advertised that I don't drink alcohol. So that's the last time I remember having something alcoholic. I had a glass of champagne just because we were having it at our birthday party, and then I drank like water for the rest of the time. Because we had like tortillas so it wasn't like a big fancy. It wasn't like a big fancy birthday thing. But she wanted to have champagne because she thought that would add it to the celebratory part of it. Yeah.
Well, tell me, did that champagne taste like incredibly burnt toast?
I don't know what champagne tastes like. It tastes like, I honestly don't remember what it tastes like.
Did you just say motor oil?
Honestly, I just remember that it did leave that little burning sensation at the back of my throat, which is the thing. Like I don't get. Like I don't understand wine. Hey, like this is something I don't understand. I don't understand how wine is fancy. It tastes terrible. It tastes terrible. It burns your mouth.
Culture. That's why.
Yeah, no, I mean it's not fancy. There's no such thing as fancy drinking as far as I'm concerned. Like there's like
It's also proven that most wine snobs are faking it. They can't tell fancy from cheap apart.
yeah, yeah. So it's something that I don't really care about. Okay, yeah. So I'm more of a connoisseur of cola drinks. Like we did the blind cola taste test that one time. Remember that video? But I think we did a flawed test. I think we need to redo it one of these days with more actual cola brands because we had like
yes,
four. We had like four, and then Dr Pepper just for like as an extra bonus.
I love Dr Pepper.
Yeah.
I love Dr Pepper.
Yeah, I
hate
do.
Dr. Pepper.
I like Dr Pepper too, but like
You guys are nuts. That stuff tastes like cough medicine.
like it's okay if you don't like the taste of it. I don't think you're a bad person for not liking it. I'm just saying that
Yes, you do.
I understand. It has a very pungent. It's very pungent, so that's
Like
why a lot
cough
of people
medicine.
like my sister.
No, to me, Dr Pepper tastes like you're licking the icing off of a cake.
Okay, that's not what I get from it. It does have a lot. It does have like a. I get the. For me, it's the peppermint. It's the peppermint is like the very strong flavor in it.
Peppermint
Hey,
in it?
Mr.
Yeah.
Cola Connoisseur, what do you think of Pepsi Fire?
I haven't tasted it. I don't know what that is.
It's Pepsi with cinnamon.
That doesn't sound like something I'd be into. Like I don't really like. Well, I've had cherry Coke. I thought that was okay, but I wasn't in love with it.
Ooh, vanilla. No. If you like Dr Pepper, you should try vanilla Dr Pepper. That stuff is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of putting vanilla in stuff personally. Okay, but we're way off topic now. But thank you for those questions, Boop Bop. Now let's move on to the next person who left us questions. His name is the Gaming Beast 82. So this is Dorobka. Dorobka left us questions, of course. Okay. All right.
What the heck was that, Cendoo?
Okay, so he seems to have 3 questions for us as well. So okay, here's the funny
What are
thing.
we, genies?
This has to be some kind of a weird holdover from the It's Tail Time days because I've never specified that you can only leave 3 questions. You can leave as many questions as you like. So anyway, so Dorupka's first question: what type of movies from recent times are you most sick of? I have a good answer for this, but I'll leave it up to you first.
Oh, I got one for you. Superhero.
You're sick of superhero movies. Yeah, I can see that. There's a lot of them now. That was not the case many years ago, but now it is definitely. Yep. Okay.
For me, mainstream horror movies. They're just not scary or entertaining.
Wait, I got a better one for you. Remakes and reboots.
Yes.
That's not a recent thing, though. There's always been remakes and reboots.
Yeah, but there's been a lot of them these days.
There's always been a lot of them. It's the idea that
that
there's
you're too
more
young.
now. The idea that there's more now than there have been in the past that's a complete fallacy. For me, what type of movies from recent times are you most sick of? I don't know. I don't have like well, I have one pet peeve, and it's like Cendoo mentioned superhero movies, and I can see why some people might get sick of superhero movies. But what I'm kind of sick of, I'm starting to get a little sick of the superhero team-up movies. Like, honestly, I like the first Avengers when it happened, but none of the ones that have come since, and even like the Captain America movies, which are just Avengers 1.5 and 2.5, really, like, you know, I'm really not much into that. So I just miss good old-fashioned one superhero movies, where it's just one superhero and, you know, none of this, like, cinematic universe thing baggage kind of holding it down. That's the thing that I kind of get sick of. That's the thing. I'm sick of cinematic universes. Like, just have, like, one movie that tells its own story. Like, you know, it doesn't have to, like, if it naturally, like, develops into, you know, sequels and spin-offs and like that, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that. But don't, like, just telegraph, like, oh yeah, we're gonna totally make, like, a spin-off movie of that guy. Dorobka's next question is, what do you think is the coolest looking video game weapon?
The gun that shoots shuriken and lightning.
Yep. What game is that from?
Oh.
Painkiller.
Painkiller. Okay, never played that. Okay.
Missing out.
This is a tough question. This one's a really tough
Actually,
question.
coolest looking that is a tougher one than I'm thinking.
Yeah, I don't really
about
think about like weapons in video games personally. I'm more
That's
into the characters. Yeah.
That's because you only play story-driven games.
I play platformers. Come on.
Once. Nah.
What do you mean once? That's like the only game I play most of the time.
Adventure games.
No, I don't even play like a lot of adventure games. Like there aren't any good ones right now that are worth playing. So
Minecraft story mode?
What?
Minecraft story mode?
Hey,
Okay, here's
no.
cool.
Yeah.
How about this for coolest looking? The Terra Blade. Yeah, no. Actually, no. I take that back immediately.
What's the Terra
Kaiser, you
Blade?
got anything?
Oh, you know what? I have an answer for this. Okay, I like the Master Sword from Zelda. I think that's a cool. No, that's not a lot of bullshit. It's very elegant.
It's just a sword with a blue handle.
Just a sword that makes you grow into an adult when you pick it up.
Yeah.
Well,
no,
well,
it's not
also
what it
the
looks like, not
world
what it
goes
does.
fast forward 7 years, but whatever.
But the question's about what it looks like, not what it does.
It is cool looking. Come on. You're not gonna say like
Okay.
Cloud Sword from Final Fantasy VII. That thing is both impractical and it looks stupid.
Ooh,
Hey,
the gun
hey,
blade.
I've-
Oh, there you go. The
I've
key
got one
blade,
of
the gun
those.
blade. There you go.
Yeah.
I've got Cloud Sword,
All right.
a replica of it.
Then there's like the freaking gun swords from Final Fantasy VIII. Those look like really
How about the plasma sword from Halo series?
plasma
I guess the
sword.
obvious-
Oh boy.
I don't know. I guess I would say the obvious choice would be a lightsaber.
Lightsaber's a
I
good
don't know.
choice.
I
thi-
think
feel
the super.
I feel it's a little bit cheating because it's not technically from a video game, but
Plenty of Star Wars video games.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. They're Star Wars video
Okay,
games.
then one of the million clones of them in video games, like the plasma whip.
Oh, how about this? Coolest weapon in video games. Again, this one's probably cheating. Oh, the Gundams.
Oh, the Gundams. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, let's move on. We struggled with that one a little bit. Let's move on. Okay, the last question that Dorobka has for us. What do you think is the easiest platformer you played? Easiest? Ugh, any modern platformer, that's for short.
I'll tell you what the easiest one ever made is. I haven't played it.
Yep.
It's this Barney the Dinosaur game on the Genesis Mega Drive. If you put the controller down for a few minutes, Barney will do the stage for you.
Interesting. Okay. What about Kaiser? Kaiser, what's the easiest platformer you've played?
There was this ninja game that I played on an Action 52 cartridge, although I'm pretty sure my cartridge that I played it on was just bugged. It was a game where you play as a ninja walking across a field with other ninjas attacking you. The problem was that none of the other ninjas' attack registered, so I can just walk through them and just walk to the end with ease.
Yeah, no,
No,
that's
that's
not
not-
a
no,
glitch. That's just Action 52 for you.
Yeah, no, every copy is like that. I've got it too. It does that.
Yeah. But we're thinking like if I'm thinking like a legit game because then there's obviously like something like Mario is missing where none of the enemies can hurt you either. But that's not really a platformer. That doesn't really count. Yeah. No.
It's
So
another really easy platform is
Mega
that
Man
on-
3
on-
Mega Man 3 is really easy.
on the ball. Remember that?
Okay,
on the
maybe that's
ball
not
game
fair.
we
Maybe
played?
that's not fair for people who don't know how to play Mega Man.
Hey, do you remember that on a bowl game we played?
Yeah,
Well, that
on a
was
roll.
pretty easy. Yeah, on a roll.
Yeah, and still you managed to kill yourself so many times in that game. You know what? Sonic 4 Episode 1 was really easy. Like that's like part of the problem. Part of the problem is like in the casino level, it's so easy to just get like 50 lives.
Here's another one. Super Mario World.
Yeah, I can see that. It's not some of the later levels.
Or better,
Some of the
or
later
maybe that Wii U Mario game was it 3D Worlds or Lands? I forget. Where if you die 5 times, it'll give you the invincible white Tanuki suit.
Yeah, that's what I say. That's why I say a lot of the modern ones, like Donkey Kong Country Returns and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, are both really good games. But I hate the fact that they also did include that option where it just plays the level for you. So I never used that. I think Super Mario 3D World was decently challenging, but it's not like super hard. Yeah.
I could say, because, if I know a game is super easy, I just kind of won't play it, is the thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of a turn-off, I'll be honest.
So there is a distinction here between, like, more recent, modern platformers and then older school, yeah.
There's some games that aren't easy, but I've played them so many times, they're now incredibly easy for me. Does that count?
You could say that. I had that happen with the first Mega Man, actually. It was really hard when I first played it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, what was the game you were saying?
I'd say Sonic Adventures 1 and 2.
Sonic Adventure. Yep. No. I personally don't think Sonic Adventure is very hard. Like, I had never played before it came out on Xbox Live. I had never played the first Sonic Adventure, and it feels like super easy to me. Like Sonic Adventure 2, and Sonic Adventure 2 is also pretty easy. Like only some of the shadow levels are a bit difficult. Yep.
Are you talking about getting A ranks though?
Yeah, I don't care about the ranks. I'm just talking about like just the process of playing through the level is really easy in those games. Yeah.
Crazy talk, man. I don't know. You're speaking a language I don't speak, man.
Okay.
I don't care about collectibles.
Okay, but
Kaiser, you still there?
Yep. A neat, really easy platform that I played recently was a game called Crab Dub.
Crab Dub. Is that another Steam original?
Yes.
Yeah,
it's a game where you play as an evil cyber crab, and you have to. It's a platforming puzzle game to where you just have to get to like this diamond thing and move on. I beat the game in like 20 minutes.
Oh boy.
On first try.
Okay. All right, but
that's the thing. When there's puzzle elements and you know all the solutions, the game becomes super easy, like the original Soul Reaver.
All right. Okay, I think that about wraps it up. Thanks for those questions, Rupka, and I think that wraps up this White Devil podcast. We had a good time. We talked about some Sega Saturn stuff. We talked about Kaiser's junk. No, stuff. That sounded wrong.
And kudos for stumping us with those questions.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. We got to do that again. Like that.
Yeah. Oh, great! More work for me. Oh.
Easiest games ever. We got to make that a topic.
Yeah, I can make a geography style game. Geography trivia puzzle. Puzzler like that for a future episode. And nobody's going to get any points.
Men too.
I got to make it so that everybody gets negative points for guessing wrong, so we'll at least have a score at the end. Okay, but that wraps up this White Devil podcast. Thank you, Cendoo, for joining us. Do you have any last words before we end?
Hannu's the greatest.
Okay, and thank you, Kaiser, for joining us. Do you have any last words?
I'm tired. I'm hungry. I just want to eat something.
All right, and...
Or someone.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us on this podcast. I'm Hannu TheHande. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.